As I'm sure many of you know, Christmas is a holiday to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ originates from the Middle East, the region historically known as Palestine. So in this weekend leading up to the holiday, I thought that now would be a better time than ever than to reflect on what these people are going through, so we can never forget to have empathy for others and we don't forget the destruction and death that is happening in Gaza and largely being aided by America. Now, this website I think is great for displaying the numbers and really showing what's going on and what has been going on leading up to this. It's called GazaIsHere.com, and I just thought that we could scroll through this together really quick today. It shows that and it's updated always. You can go to this website yourself. They keep these numbers ongoing to keep it up to date. But as of right now, today being the 23rd of December, 20,057 people have been murdered in Gaza. Of that, over 8,000 make up children. Obviously, most of the population of Gaza are women, children, and elderly. 6,200 are women. There have been 53,000 total injuries, over 53,000 total injuries, 53 million kilograms of explosives dropped in Gaza. I know they told a lot of the Palestinians to move to the southern part of Gaza, that this is where they would be safe. And now recently they've been dropping 2,000-pound bombs in that area, the New York Times has been reporting. So it seems like nowhere they can go, they're really going to be safe. 1.9 million people have been displaced and largely their homes have been destroyed. There has been 1.6 thousand hours of bombing. I think it's over 50 to 60% of Gaza now has been destroyed by bombs. And we're going to go to the disaster gallery. We'll look at this real quick. It shows some images of the destruction. You can see here where buildings have been leveled. A lot of these include hospitals, schools, the places where people were taking refugee. And when it's not, it's people's homes who are now left without homes and being forced to leave the only area they've ever known. And obviously, I mean, it's really heart-wrenching to look at, but this is what isn't the side that's not being shown. And I think when you look at images like this, it's safe to say, like, just because Israel is our ally doesn't mean we're not in a place to tell them, like, hey, you're going too far. Like, we can't back you here. And that seems to be where America has an inability to draw the line. When we drop down here, you can see in comparison to the other conflicts that have happened in Gaza, right? The 2008 war, 23 days, 1.4 thousand people died. In 2012, there was an 8-day conflict with 167 people dying. In 2014, 50 days, 2.1 thousand people dying, which obviously still way too many people dying. When you look at it, like 500 children are dying here. 2021, there was 11 days, 230 victims, 65 children. But then when you take that in comparison to what is happening now, where it seems like Netanyahu or Israel in and of itself with the October 7th attack now feels they have the justification to not have to hold back anymore and really carry out what seems to be something they've had these plans to do for a long time. And it shows with now in the 2023 conflict, in 77 days, as I said, over 20,000 deaths, 8,000 children, 6,000 women. So it's much worse than any other conflict has ever been. And it's all because we're backing them. We've told them, hey, because this happened, no rains, we back you full stop. So now they know that globally it's okay for them to enact this terrorism on Palestinians. If you look at the life in Gaza and what these citizens have been subjected to, there have been power outages in Gaza that range between 12 and 16 hours per day. And this is since the occupation, since 1967, since these conditions have happened. This is not something that's just now coming around. It has been this way, where they have been without power for large parts of the day. 5 out of 10 families, half the families in Gaza, suffer from food insecurity, not knowing when they're going to get their next meal or if they're going to get to eat that day. Residents of the Strip wait 32 working days for their applications to be treated in hospitals outside of Gaza, with most of them in Gaza, obviously, for one, now being destroyed, but they're run by Hamas, and a lot of people are like, oh, Hamas hospitals, and which, for one, Hamas is the government of Gaza. They don't have any more involvement in their hospitals than our government does in our hospitals. It's not like they're just running the halls, but regardless, people want to say those are Hamas hospitals. But when you look, they're waiting over a month if they're going to try to leave and get treatment, and now they have to because their hospitals are largely being destroyed, and the ones that aren't destroyed are subject to be targeted at any moment. The number of accessible crossings out of Gaza and into Gaza have dropped from 6 to 3, and with all 3 of those now being under Israeli control. There's citizens in Gaza that have to go off the sound of Israeli aircrafts. If they hear them, they have to take shelter. Like their schedule is built around that. Generators do not stop working to secure electricity, which causes noise around the clock. There is never silence in Gaza because they need these generators going. And although the occupation does allow for some permissible space for their fishing boats to navigate, to catch food for themselves, obviously, and provide, they're still targeted daily, even when they are in these range, even when they stay in the safe zones, they're still getting bombed. A lot of people trying to cross these crossings under Israeli control, still getting bombed. So the question is, where do we draw the line? Because I get Israel is our ally, and I do also think that Israel has a right to defend itself and that we are kind of needed to mediate the Middle East situation. But there is a point where you have to say enough is enough, and we need to step in as the person that pretty much the entire world looks to before they do anything. We need to step in and say, like, hey, it's done. This is it. You're stopping. You're not doing it like this. And we need to work out a better way to get this done.